During Epiphany at Kenilworth Union Church, we're preaching this sermon series called A Gentle Word to an Aging Empire. We're looking at a tiny sliver of Paul's long, majestic letter to the church at Rome, chapter 12. Our gospel lesson this morning comes from the Gospel according to St. Luke. An argument broke out among them as to which of them was the greatest, but Jesus, aware of their inner thoughts, took a little child and put it by his side and said to them, "Whoever welcomes this child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Therefore, the least among you will become the greatest." And then our epistle lesson is a single line from Romans 12, "Outdo one another in showing honor." Pray with me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. When Paul wrote his letter to the church at Rome in 57 AD, life was pretty hard for the average Roman citizen. By that time, the city was already 800 years old and looked every day of it. It is an aging, coarsening, hardening empire. In 57 AD, the emperor is Nero, legendary for his brutality and ineptitude. And if you want to know what it was like maybe to live in a blunt, corrupt, arthritic, sclerotic empire, you could consult the gladiator films. The gladiator films are set about 130 years after Jesus and Paul, but they give you an idea about the violence in life in the Roman Empire in the first century. So, near the end of this long letter, Paul gives some advice to the Roman Christians about how to respond to this iniquitous environment. The passage we're looking at during Epiphany at Kenilworth Union this year is sometimes called Paul's Sermon on the Mount. I love that way of thinking about it. Let love be genuine, he says. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Outdo one another in showing honor. I love that last line. Outdo one another in showing honor. Exercise a holy competitiveness as to which of you can be best about seeing the worth, the honor, the dignity, the value of other human beings. How are we doing with that one in the American Empire in 2025? Can I share a harsh truth with you? We are not doing very well. We get an F. Because we don't compete in showing honor, we compete in being great. So many of us spend so much energy erecting giant billboards and banner ads advertising our own unique wonderfulness to those who might have missed it. How about that passage that Luke tells us about Jesus' disciples? A dispute broke out among them as to which of them was the greatest. This immediately after Jesus had just predicted that he himself would suffer many things and be rejected by the chief priests. A dispute broke out among them. Now, perhaps we shouldn't rush to hasty negative judgment about what that dispute was about. It could be beneficial to everybody. Maybe they were arguing for another person's greatness. Maybe James said to Peter, "Peter, you're the greatest preacher I've ever heard. I will always be a sophomore seminarian compared to you." Or maybe Andrew said to Bartholomew, "Bartholomew, I can't believe how good you are at fishing. I will never be the angler that you are." Maybe that's the way the argument went. Probably not, but maybe. Maybe they were arguing about greatness the way Bob Uecker did. You know Bob Uecker, the beloved broadcaster for the Milwaukee Brewers for 54 years. Bob Uecker had been a Major League Baseball player before he became a broadcaster. He played 6 seasons with the Braves and the Cardinals, but not very well. He had a lifetime batting average of 200, and in 1967, Bob Uecker led the major leagues. He was a catcher. He led the major leagues in passed balls. A passed ball is when the pitch gets past the catcher and it rolls to the backstop. 1967, 27 passed balls, and get this, he only played 76 games. fewer than half the games that were played that season. But he was always exercising a kind of cheerful honesty about his own mediocrity. He says, "To last as long as I did with the skills I had is a triumph of the human spirit." Maybe that was what was going on in this dispute between the disciples. They were recognizing the greatness in other people and arguing about it, but probably not, right? What we know about the disciples and Jesus' response to this dispute, gentle chastisement. The least among you will become the greatest. It's likely that that dispute was unseemly and self-serving and embarrassing. Now, what if the whole world competed in showing honor instead of making money? What if the whole world competed in showing honor instead of winning arguments? In the last 11 years, I have celebrated 78 weddings at Kenilworth Union Church. And I'm happy to announce that of those 78 couples, 7 of them chose Paul's Sermon on the Mount, Romans 12, as the passage, the scripture passage for their wedding. Almost 10% chose this passage. And I always highlight this line: in your marriage, outdo one another in showing honor. And then I turn to the groom and I say, Ken, lose many arguments. And then I quote Esther Perel, who says, Ken, you can be right or you can be married. Which do you want to be? What if we all competed in seeing the worth and the dignity and the honor in other people? Now, this is a tiny example of what I'm talking about, but it makes me so happy I'm going to talk about it anyway. How about the Arizona Cardinals, right? When the LA Rams had to move their playoff game against the Vikings out of LA because of the fire, the Arizona Cardinals jumped into the conversation like an overeager schoolboy. Ooh, we can help, play the game here. We're pretty close, less than 400 miles. We'll host your game. But they weren't through. The LA Rams take 350 people with them on road trips. I couldn't believe that. 350 people is their entourage when they travel somewhere for a football game. Everybody gets to go. I mean, everybody gets to go. Wives, children, nannies, doctors, cooks, personal trainers, ball boys, Gatorade girls, 6 dogs, and 2 cats. The Arizona Cardinals sent 2 of their team planes to LA to pick up the Rams entourage and take them to Glendale, Arizona. Pretty impressive, right? This is Cooper Pup. Get it? Cooper Pup is named for Cooper Kupp, the splendid wide receiver for the LA Rams. Cooper Pup had been a shelter dog before the Rams adopted him. Now, I don't know if Cooper Pup was on that team plane from Arizona, but he could have been if he wanted to. And there's still more. This is what Arizona Cardinal Stadiums normally looks like, right? Beautiful red cardinal. So on the spur of the moment, right before the game, somebody shipped 200 gallons of royal blue and sunshine yellow paint all the way from Mississippi to Glendale, Arizona, 1,500 miles, to turn that stadium into this one, to make it look like the home field for the LA Rams. Now, these are ordinarily people who are trying to kill each other, almost literally, when they're on the football field. If you are an LA running back lying on the field after getting tackled, some 300-pound Cardinal defensive end will be glad to stomp on your hand with his cleats. But the Cardinals knew that the Rams needed some honor just now. Who needs more honor in America just now than Angelinos? And so the Cardinals honored their opponents. My friend Matt Colwell was born and raised in San Diego. And then, as a young man, he attended Williams College in Massachusetts, where he met this brilliant, beautiful young woman named Jill. And when Matt and Jill graduated from Williams, they matriculated at the Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California. One of the places Matt and Jill connected on was their passion for Jesus. So they both earned master's degrees at Fuller, and when Jill was done with her master's degree, she wanted to pursue a PhD degree at Yale Divinity School in New Haven, Connecticut, 50 miles east of Greenwich. So while Jill was studying at Yale, Matt became my associate pastor in Greenwich for 5 years. The finest colleague I've ever worked with until I met Katie and Christine and Sarah. We worked together for 5 years, and then when Jill's studies at Yale were done, Matt was called to be the senior minister at the Knox Presbyterian Church in Pasadena, California. 2005, he went there. He's still there, 20 years. They adore him. Until a week ago Tuesday, Matt and Jill lived in Altadena, California. Like all of the other houses in this quintessentially Southern California neighborhood, their house was funny and quirky and eccentric. It had this crazy exterior staircase going up to the second floor. That's the front door. You don't need an exterior staircase. There's one on the inside. It's there for no apparent reason. Maybe it was a duplex at one point. And it has this turret in this house. When Matt and Jill and their 8-year-old daughter Lucy found it for the first time 11 years ago or so, Lucy called it the Castle House. The Castle House. They lost everything. Furniture, books, photos, cash, passports. Today, Lucy's a sophomore at Princeton University, and she had to return to school last Saturday. And she went without a driver's license or a passport or a computer. 8 other families from Matt's Pasadena congregation lost their homes too. But you don't have to ask where Matt and Jill are staying just now, do you? 100 families offered to put them up as long as they needed to. And so last Sunday, Matt preached a sermon 5 days after his house burned down, and he said, "Charlie, thank you for these khakis I'm wearing. And Susan, thanks for making the Target run to get this shirt that I'm wearing and this belt. And Randy, I promise I'm going to return these tennis shoes as soon as I'm done with them. And Dorothy, thanks for all the wonderful meals. And I'm even going to do my part. You know, Matt and Jill were splendid theologians together. And so together they had a great theological library, thousands of volumes. When they moved to Pasadena 20 years ago, and Matt started his work at the church and they moved into the Altadena house, Jill wouldn't let Matt put his theology books in the church because she wanted to consult them too. So they kept them at home. And now they're all gone. Well, I'm almost through with my theology books. So when he can take them, I'm going to send them to Matt. It's kind of a neat, nifty solution to a great problem in my life. Because as I think about wrapping up my ministry, one of my greatest anxieties is what's going to become of my books. They're like my children. My real kids hate it when I say that, but it's almost true. Now they're going to find a new home in Pasadena, I hope. So the people of Altadena and Pacific Palisades and LA are outdoing one another in showing honor to each other. They are exercising a holy competitiveness to see which of them can serve those who are in need. It is a horrible, almost unthinkable catastrophe. But isn't it just there that we discover how much we need each other? Let love be genuine. hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good, and outdo one another in showing honor.